I'd like to share with you a song written by Swami Kriyananda called Peace. Peace gave us the mountains, peace gave us the sky. Nightly when starlight enfolds us, peace is its lullaby. Amen. Peace gave us the morning, peace gave us the sun, bird songs that call us to welcome day and fresh labors begun. Amen. Peace gave us the seasons, peace gave us the rain, cool clouds that gather to bless us, mist hands that soothe away pain. Peace gave us our heart's love, peace gave us our smiles, rays of God's presence within us, light that all strife reconciles. Amen. Amen. Swami Kriyananda, in his life, wrote more than 400 pieces of music, and many of them express in either words or melody, in vibration in one way or another, a kind of philosophy, a very positive philosophy. He described these songs in various ways over the years. One of the first ways he described them was as sermons in song. And then later on, he used the phrase philosophy in song, the title of this video. And I thought to touch a little bit about his music today, because his music has touched so many people, and it has certainly moved my own consciousness forward on a deep, deep level. One might even say a molecular level. He used to say to people, if you want to know me, listen to my music. And that's a helpful phrase, because most people would have access to his music in one way or another through various digital sources. And, back in the day, he released vinyl records, and then cassette tapes, and then CDs, and then finally his music was being posted online in various platforms. So the music is certainly available out there, but there's a deeper level to it. And I came to realize that if you want to feel his consciousness, not just sort of know him as a person, but actually touch the kind of consciousness that he had in life, then singing his music or performing his music in one way or another is deeply helpful. Last summer, a year ago, we were dedicating the new temple at Ananda Village, the Temple of Light. And it was a deeply moving, the whole week was a very deeply moving experience. But there was a concert one of the nights, and it featured choirs from all over the world, people singing and performing Swamiji's music in various ways, mostly singing, but there were also some instrumentals. And one in particular was a piece that Swamiji wrote called Life is the Quest for Joy. And something happened during the playing of that song. And it was an orchestral piece with a number of stringed instruments and keyboard and various instruments working together. And it's like they just became one instrument, one consciousness. And it was so deep. It's like they captured the spirit of Swamiji's music, which was always to uplift people, always to help people to experience a higher potential in their own nature. Part of the reason that he even wrote music at all is because he realized, from having lectured for the better part of 20 years, that lecturing could touch people's minds first, but they would hold up their own mental barriers. In fact, he described speaking in one country as, I spent half my time trying to convince them that I was not a complete fraud, and the other half of the time trying to convince them that I actually had something to say. And by the time the talk was over, I felt like I had finally reached zero. I had not actually moved anything in a positive direction. And often those of us who sang his music would find that the song that we would often begin programs, lectures and discourses and classes, workshops, even that would go on for a day or more. We would begin them with a song. We would begin them with something, and I remember doing this even in India, where this kind of music, playing a guitar and singing sort of a sort of folksy style in an American kind of way, is unfamiliar. It's not a normal part of the musical tradition in India. Music is a universal language. It touches people's hearts. It goes straight into their being. And the philosophy in song that Swamiji is expressing in each song is very different. Each vibration is very particular. This particular song that I just sang, Peace, he wrote as part of a play that he was working on called The Singer and the Nightingale. And his original intent was that the song be somewhat comical. And he began writing this song. It was a song on one note. Peace gave us the mountains, peace gave us the sky. You may have noticed the guitar is moving, the chords are moving all over the place, but the melody is actually literally one note. In the four-part harmony version, again, the harmonies are moving all around that one note, so it sounds like it has this elaborate melody, but it is literally a melody on one note. But what came out, as the true artist that he was, the art has its own intention. It's like the song sang itself to him. And it came out very serious and very deep and profound. And so he was always trying to capture something that would help people, that would uplift people, that would give them an inspired and inspiring message. And the gift of being able to share that around the world, I can't even begin to express. I remember him describing an experience that he had had many years ago when one of his musical works called the oratorio Christ Lives sort of along the scale of Handel's Messiah, but a little narrower in terms of length. It was about an hour and a half fully performed. That work was being performed across Italy in churches all around the country. And on one of those stops, a Frenchman came up to him and said to Swamiji in French, Swami, of course, spoke French. He said to him, "I don't speak English and I don't speak Italian, but I understood every word." And tears were running down his face. And of course, as Swamiji told the story, tears were running down his face as well, because he knew that the music had gone into this man's heart and reached him on a very, very deep level. I had the privilege, along with a small choir from Ananda Assisi in February of 1989, to perform for the Pope and for an audience of about 13,000 people live in the Vatican auditorium. And it was a very interesting experience, because there were a number of choirs among 13,000 people. There were church groups from all around the world. And so in the warm-up period, while the crowd was gathering and before the Pope came out, the choirs would sort of take turns rehearsing their song. Well, most of them had only brought one song, because that's all they would get a chance to perform. And we too had brought one song. We were going to sing Thy Light Within Us Shining. But as the groups went through their song, and then some of them sang it again, the hour wasn't up, and we had dozens and dozens of songs, and we ended up singing, I don't know how many, maybe 15 or 20 songs. We practically gave a concert prior to the main event. But the Pope himself was very receptive. This is 2 popes ago now, John Paul II. But it was very moving to see that an international audience, literally people from all over the world, from the Orient, from, of course, all over Europe, America, South America, everywhere basically, people could feel that music. They could tune into it on a very deep level. And so it's been a gift and a blessing to be able to share it. But I invite you, wherever you may be, also listen to it, because he didn't bring this for his own enjoyment. And he didn't even, in a sense, bring it for our enjoyment. Of course we'd enjoy it. But he brought it for our upliftment, for the upliftment of the planet. And this is a time when we can listen to things. We can explore and experience. And so I would invite you to do that. Of course, I've shared many songs in these videos. Every time you see the little thumbnails of me holding the guitar, you can pretty well be guaranteed that I'll be singing something at the beginning of the song, or we, Nirmala and I, will be singing something. But I invite you to tune into that music. And there's an Ananda Worldwide music website and things on Facebook and so forth. Tune into this music. There is a real grace behind it, a real gift and blessing behind it. And let it uplift you as well. Namaste.